Welcome to Darklaw Dominion, where we dive deep into the shadows, the darkest parts of ourselves that we rarely speak of, yet we all feel. I'm your host, Dominion, and in this series, we're not afraid to face the raw truths of our mental health, the battles that rage within, and the weight we carry when no one else is watching. This is where we confront the fears, the pain, the trauma we hide, and uncover the power that lies within the darkness. Because only by facing it can we truly heal and rise. Let's take this journey together. Welcome to the depths of Darklaw Dominion.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the Create Dominion podcast with your host, Dominion. I'm very excited because we again had a great goal set in early April, and we were able to hit 500 followers on the Create Dominion Facebook page. So very excited, a milestone hit, and thank you to the Dominion for always tuning in and being wonderful audience members and members of society. And so welcome to Darklaw Dominion Mental Health Series, episode 18. We have a very, very special guest for you all coming out of the wonderful state of Michigan. We have Mrs. Martha Burich out of Michigan. How are you, Martha?
I'm doing great, Darian. Thanks for having me.
It's wonderful. Thank you for coming, and definitely wonderful to have you on the Create Dominion. And so with that being said, can you tell the audience a little bit about who you are?
Oh my goodness. Who am I? Well, first off, I taught child psychology for 10 years at the college level. And that was a very interesting experience. And then I taught special education at the high school level for 16 years. So I have a lot of experience in child behavior. And also, I have a child myself. He's grown now. Raising him helped me learn how to deal with people because I really believe that we're all 5-year-olds in different age bodies.
Awesome. I love the way you said that, 5 years old in different age bodies. And, when you think about it, it's just a circle of life, even from newborn all the way up to when you're very older. You have, if you think of just retirement homes and things of that nature, you kind of revert back to the beginning, outside of, the experiences and the mindset. And so we're going to have a wonderful, wonderful episode here today. Again, we're going to dive deep into childhood. And so as I preface with every episode, this may not resonate with everyone. Maybe you don't have kids, but everybody knows you went to school, you're around children. Everybody in the world is around children unless you live under a rock, whether they're in a restaurant that you go to, whether they're at the grocery store, whether you're, maybe you have friends that have children, nieces, nephews, grandchildren, etc., from marriage or anything like that. And so everyone is around kids, or every human was a kid at one point. And so we're going to come at you with a wide range of knowledge. And so everything, again, may not resonate with you when it comes to just raising kids. Maybe you never raised kids before. But I encourage everyone that's viewing and listening this episode to take one thing and let it resonate with you and apply it daily to your life. And especially for those parents out there, or maybe your kids are grown and you're grandparents, or maybe you're a godmother or father and don't have kids of your own. We're going to bring you some very wonderful tips and enhanced mindset on how you can apply this to the children in your life and help raise wonderful members of society. And so with that being said, welcome to episode 18. And so, Martha, the first question we have for you, I know you have a wide mindset and knowledge on children. Can you tell the audience and us how you grew up?
I was the youngest of 3. I had 2 older brothers, and I come from the generation of World War II. My father was a prisoner of war in a German concentration camp for 2 years. My mother tells me the movie Stalag 17 was written about my father's unit because my dad was always trying to escape. But anyway, when my father came back from the war, he was a changed man, but we didn't know him then because none of us were born until he came back from the war. And my upbringing was such that my father was such a heavy drinker and gambler that my mother told me stories that there was never any food because my dad would drink and gamble it all up. And I always had a feeling that I was unwanted. And the reason for that is because my mother had two children, my older brother, who was 7 when I was born, and my other brother, who was about 2 when I was born. And when she found out that I was on the way, her first thought was, how am I going to feed her? My husband's useless and spends all the money and doesn't seem to care. So I always had this feeling all my life that I was unwanted, even though my mother was a lovely, lovely woman and she always treated me well. Just from the youngest age had that feeling. So I had a lot of feelings of, what's the word for it? Less than. I was always less than all my life and never good enough because when you're born thinking that you aren't good enough to be there or that you're a drain on someone. So no matter what I did, I always felt like a drain. And my mother would tell me what a good baby I was. And I really believed that I was a good baby because I somehow sensed from her that she needed a good baby. This really brings up a lot of feelings for me, but you know what? That's really all part of parenting. We parent, we are big kids. I was living in high school for the first, probably after I got out of high school, for the next 20 years. I was still reliving high school, being the outcast at high school, being the not popular kid. A lot of people are the popular kid. They come out of high school and all they want to do is relive their glory days. So then they're dealing with, oh my God, life isn't as fun as when I was the football star, when I was the cheerleader, when I was top of the class. Because, then we move into college and other areas of life and suddenly we're not getting the attention that we used to. So we're constantly repeating as we get older all those behaviors, trying to either get back or to gain what we were missing in childhood. So then we bring that on with our children. So if we were missing love in childhood, then we overlove our children and make them spoiled and difficult people, and we make their lives difficult because we somehow think that making them happy, that they need to be happy. Whereas the most unhappy people in the world are those who everyone around them wants to make them happy and they don't have any responsibilities. The people who have responsibilities, the things that we need in life, Darian, are attention. We need attention. We'll do anything to get attention. That's why there's so much bad behavior, because people get attention for bad behavior. We need to believe that we belong somewhere. The family is the unit, the first unit, our first tribe of belonging. We need to believe that we contribute, and we need to have power. If someone's hurting me or bothering me, I need to be able to say no, and they will listen to me. So if we don't have those, then we start to develop behaviors to get those. So if I can't get attention from you and feel that I get your attention with love and positive things, I'm going to do stuff just to get your attention. So a lot of the times what we're dealing with is we as parents, we're not grown yet. And we get these little people and we're trying to be good parents, but we aren't ready. But you know what? We'll never be ready. So might as well jump in and just go to it and learn as you go.
I love you said that. You said a lot of great things there. And I want to hit on just the mindset of, I hope you guys were listening what she said about, you know, reliving the glory days of high school. Again, she said she spent after high school 20 plus years mentally still reliving high school. And when you look around the world, you look, even in, sports, Hollywood, etc., or just look at your job. Look at, if you're in college right now, look at your college. Everybody, even if you go to the restaurants or the bars, etc., everybody always speaks on, yeah, back then I could lift weights, or, yeah, I was captain of the football team, like she mentioned, or yeah, I was the prettiest girl in school. And just especially with social media nowadays, we have all those people on our Facebooks and your Instagrams and etc. Oftentimes we look at, yeah, I remember when Sally was, the hottest woman in school, back in high school. And now she's, wrinkly and got, 5 kids and, you know, living paycheck to paycheck. And or maybe on drugs or something. What happened to Sally? And same thing with, I remember captain on the football team, he was going to go pro, and then he ended up blowing out his knee, and now he's, I just saw him. He's a, waitress at the local restaurant, or, you know, so far and so forth. And I love that you said that, because mentally we're always trying to, again, seek that attention and relive those glory days. And I want to hit on something you said with that is, again, we're always trying to seek the attention that we got back in the day. And what that leads me to believe is that everything in life is certain seasons, and you have to live for the moment. Again, like she said, parenting, you're never really ready. When people tell you, I remember, I have twin boys. For those of you that don't know, they'll be 7 next month. But we always say, even growing up, you got to have your finances in order. You got to, obviously you want to, if you're Christian, especially growing up in church, you're always told to be married, and before, don't have kids out of wedlock. And, you have to have, the college fund and have all these things in order before you even think about having children. And again, just like Martha said, the reality of life is, for 95% of the population that has children, that's just not applicable. It's one of those, sound good stories, or it's kind of like one of those white picket fence Cinderella stories of, I went to school, I met a guy or met a gal, we had the perfect relationship, we got married, we stayed abstinent, waited till we were 5 years in marriage, bought a house, had perfect credit, and decided to have a perfect child with no health issues. And, we had the state of the art organic baby food, and the crib was amazing, and they never cried at night. They came home from the hospital and slept all night. And again, for those of you that listen right now, those are just some of the examples. But for those parents that are out there listening, is like, that is not how parenting is at all for 99% of parents. And just in life, we just have to, especially for parents, you just have to realize that, that's not going to be applicable for human life, right? We're not perfect. And I want you to touch on that. What do you think contributes the most to the mindset of being kind of stuck in that place of wanting to relive the glory days?
I guess that's part of that is it's just being human and thinking that there's something, the grass is always greener, Darian. The grass is always greener on the other side. I'm sure you've heard that story. So you get out of high school, and then it's time to be an adult, high school, even college. A lot of people that are not grown up yet, and they're still playing too much, and they think college is some kind of party town. And unfortunately, too many people use college as a party town rather than for what it was, getting themselves ready to go into a job. And my own thoughts really are, stop getting yourself ready to go to a job and make a job. I really believe that children should have chores and jobs, and a 10-year-old should be taking his neighbor's garbage cans out. And that should be his job. He should be able to make money doing that. Something like that, taking the garbage cans out, putting them back in, walking the neighbor's dogs, picking up the dog poop. They should have their own little jobs because they need to have that responsibility. A person who doesn't have responsibility always all they think about is themselves. Me, 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 me. And they have no empathy, and they have no understanding that if it is to be, it's up to me. I am responsible. We live in, you and your wife and your children live in a home. Well, guess what? Everybody needs to be responsible to keep that home clean, because everybody does something to dirty it, don't they? So it's everybody's responsibility to keep that home neat and organized so people don't trip and hurt themselves. If you have animals, so the animals don't get a hold of something they shouldn't. If younger relatives come over or friends, so that there's nothing that could hurt them on the ground. That's all our responsibility, not just mom and dad. And your children are old enough at 7, they certainly know what's dangerous and what's not dangerous. Not everything, but a lot of things. They know what the dog can't get a hold of, or etc. And so we all need to be mindful of that. I just, and we also have to watch, what I'm seeing way too much of it in our society, and this goes along with addiction, Too many people are so addicted to social media. Social media is fake. It's just like Hollywood. People show you the best of their lives. Well, they show you two things. They show you either the best of their lives or they show you the worst in order to get your pity and your sympathy. So you're seeing people at their absolute best and you somehow think that you can aspire to that. Let it go. Let it go. You're not going to be perfect. You're not going to have the perfect waist. You're not going to have the perfect body. You're going to get older. You're going to get wrinkles, et cetera, et cetera. You know what? It's time to focus on what kind of a human being am I? Am I a good contributor to society? Do I care about others? Do I help others? And I'm not talking about people pleasing. I'm talking about you go to the store and you see someone who needs help to get something off the top shelf and you can reach it for them. Why don't you do it? I'm talking about you see somebody who needs some help to take their cart out to their car. Help them or take that bucket, take that cart back to the store. You know, there's the shopping cart theory of personality, and it tells you if someone thinks about others or not. And here's what it is: you go to the grocery store, and you get your cart. You go outside. You put your groceries in your car. Now nobody's there. Okay, nobody's there. Nobody's watching you, and you can either leave the cart right there in the middle of the parking lot, or you can walk the extra 50, 100 steps, whatever it is, and put the cart back. If you put the cart back in the cart corral, that says that you think of others. You know, I can't leave this cart here. What if a young mother comes? What if a disabled person comes? This cart's going to be in their way. This cart could roll and hit a car. I need to be mindful of others. Now, let's say you are disabled or you have young children and you can't put the cart away. You need to tell the manager or the person when you're checking out, somebody needs to come and get my cart because I can't leave my baby alone in the car. I've got 3 kids. I can't, walk, have my back to them for more than 2 minutes, putting the cart away. Somebody needs to come and help me. But do that at least. Be responsible that way. Because if you just leave the cart in the middle of the parking lot, you're being totally inconsiderate and thoughtless of other people. Does that make sense to you, Darian?
Hey, yes, I actually heard that before when I did my marketing business.
Mm.
I love that analogy because, again, back to what you were saying earlier is about, not having the responsibility and being selfish and being spoiled. You think the world revolves around you. So in your mind or that person's mind like that, it's like, why would I put the cart back? I'm
Yeah,
done
why
with
should
my
I?
shopping.
I'm done with exactly. I'm done with my shopping. I'm done, you know? Yeah. And see, they don't see other people. I was at the jail yesterday. I go to the jail every Monday, talk to the addicts and alcoholics. And we were talking about being a better person. And I said, I have 3 L's of parenting, but they're really 3 L's of living. The first one is love yourself or love your children enough to say no. So for my addicts and alcoholics, I say, love yourself enough to say no to the drugs and alcohol. And then the second one is lead by example. And I said, you need to be the example of the better person. And then the last one is let them fail. And I mean, and that's you need to fail, which means too often in life, we don't go for what we really want. We go for what we think we can have. We need to learn to hear no, because the only way to get to yes is to hear no. You have to hear at least 9 no's before you hear a yes if you're a salesman. Let's say you sell Boeing airplanes. Now, you've only got a few customers, right? Only a few people even buy Boeing 747 airplanes. So you're going to go to the same guy every year. Hey, you need an airplane? No. Hey, you need an airplane? No. Every time you go back to him, no. But you got to stay in contact with him because you only got a few customers. Well, then the 5th year, you go, hey, you need an airplane? No, we're going to make this fleet last as long as possible. Things are tight, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so now you're year 8 and year 9. You're still in contact. You need an airplane? No. But here comes year 10. Okay, you ready for an airplane? Well, as a matter of fact, we need 8 airplanes. Now, you've just made, a lot of money. Why? Because you didn't take no for an answer. You just kept plugging away. You understood the way things are. But we're so afraid to hear no, we're afraid to ask anybody. Here we are all by ourselves, and we're afraid to ask even a friend, hey, let's go to lunch. You want to go to lunch? because we're afraid they're going to say no. What, is anything any worse? I didn't have anybody to go lunch with before I asked. I didn't have anybody, and if you said no, I didn't have anybody to go lunch with after I asked. So did things get worse? No. But they could have got a lot better if I'd have asked.
I love that you said that because, again, a lot of people, live with the fear of the unknown, right? The fear of, again, am I a burden? Or back to your childhood story, am I less? I feel like I'm less than, so I'm not going to ask. And then you start telling yourself those negative thoughts. Why would somebody want to go to lunch with me? Am I even worthy to eat lunch with? And then it goes down that rabbit hole and that snowballs back to the point of the start of the conversation where we're talking about reliving the glory days. Well, back when I was in high school, I was the most popular kid in school. Everybody wanted to sit at my lunch table. But now that you have to live life and actually make friends that aren't forced to be around you. Because again, in school, you kind of you have to eat lunch somewhere because you have to be in the cafeteria. You're like, oh, well, now I actually have to make friends. I'm not going to do that because, again, back then when I was in high school, everybody came to me. I didn't have to ever. And then some people, the counteract that, some people feel they're too above and people are beneath them to ask for lunch. People should be asking me to go to lunch with me. Why should I have to reach out? And I want to speak on that real quick and get your opinion on that, because I think that tears down, back to your social media analogy. I think that tears down a lot of meaningful friendships and relationships today, because either or one of the other parties feels, they should be reaching out to me, so then they don't reach out. And then the other person's like, well, why haven't they reached out to me and asked me for lunch? And then now you're just two people that just don't talk to each other. And then you start telling that stuff in your head of, well, I guess they don't like me anymore. I guess we're not friends because they won't reach out to me to ask me for lunch. And so I kind of want to get your opinion on how we eradicate that mindset and start to build meaningful friendships and relationships.
But we got to get over that fear of hearing no. We have just got to plow through that and get over it. The basic skills of a person, of a mature, responsible person, is they accept no and criticism. Most of us just can't do that. Somebody criticizes us, the first thing we do is get defensive. Well, I do that because blah, blah, blah. That's not the right response. And in fact, this is a really good time to talk about parental guilt and how parents are blamed for everything. Look, parent, you're going to be blamed for everything. Just, you know what? When people say stuff to you, ignorant things, because they're going to, oh, your child doesn't act right, blah, blah, blah. Your child isn't speaking correctly yet. You're blah, 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 blah. You know what? You just listen and go, well, thank you so much for letting me know. Do you have any solutions? I'd like to know them. And then if you care to hear that and listen and go, well, thank you so much for the information. Now I know. That's all you got to do. You don't have to change anything, do anything, but at least now you had more information. See, everybody wants to be helpful, but in being helpful, what we do is we criticize everybody else. We try to tell you how to live your life when we can't even live our own, but we somehow think we're being helpful. But in actuality, we're being anything but. So stop comparing yourself. You look at your life, just look at, what do I want in my life? How do I want my children to behave? Now, what we really want from our children is what? We want them to be responsible. We want them to be happy, but that's not our job. My job is not to make you a happy person. My job is to make you a responsible person who feels that you contribute to the world and that you belong here. Not that a new toy is going to make you happy, or a prettier dress or shirt is going to make your life better. No, our job, all of our jobs, is to help others. And I'm not saying that to be people pleasers. I'm saying that we need to remember that we are stewards of the world, and that makes us responsible for our friends, our brethren, for other people. So we need to open doors for people. We need to smile. Sometimes all you have to do is smile. That's all you got to do. I was at a restaurant. I'll tell you this story. I was at a restaurant, and that place was busy. We had to wait in line in order to go for lunch. This place is really always popular. And, I was sitting there watching everybody, friends who were together, just having a good time and a good meal, families together. I talked to some people. There was a couple who were going to be going on a cruise in a couple of weeks, and they, were enjoying their meal. And I was just looking around and seeing, and there was a group from the group home of people with disabilities. They were, I don't know, young men. I looked to be 20s to 30s. And I remember looking around thinking, this is a big deal to all these people. And the busboy was cleaning the tables, and he had a smile on his face. The waitresses all had smiles on their face, even though they were packed and they were busy. I was thinking to myself, I bet they have no clue how big a deal this is to people and how much just a smile on their face means to all of us sitting here at these tables enjoying our meals with our friends and families. And I did write. I made a Facebook post about that, and I did notify the owner that really was a big deal, and that they had no idea. People think I'm just a waitress. I'm just that. Nobody's just a anything. Every job is necessary. And that's another thing. You know what? There are some people you look up to and you think they're so great, but then when you find out what's really going on behind the scenes, then you realize, oh my God, what what has their lives been like? What have they had to go through to, I mean, some of these things we're hearing now are very scary, but these are the people that we somehow think that they have these fabulous lives and we're so jealous of. Please, you know what? I know, and a lot of times, these people that we think are stars and blah, 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 they would give anything to be able just to sit at home and play catch with their dog, just to be left alone for a little bit and nobody wanting things. I remember Chaka Khan once said when Whitney Houston died, she said, my manager said to me, I'm worth more dead than alive. That's the lives that some people that we think are living these great lives are really living. So realize that you're important, and your job now as a parent is to let your kids feel important, but in and know that they have a responsibility, as do you, to contribute to the world. And then you know what that means? That means keeping your area clean, doing things for others, being responsible. In Japan, there are no janitors at the schools. The children do all the work. They're responsible to keep their areas clean. And the first time you're somewhere where it says, well, you know what, they'll pick it up. I don't need to pick that up. Somebody else, that's their job. Then society starts to go downhill because then we're walking down the street, we don't pick up the trash. And it's left there for who to pick up? Somebody else.
I love that you said that. And again, it's just big on mental health. Again, you matter. I love what you said with, it doesn't matter your job title, doesn't matter your salary or your wage. Everybody is essential in life. Life's an infinite game, even though we are finite players. But again, like Martha said at the beginning, it's not about the materialistic things or who you can look up to. It's about, what kind of person, what kind of legacy you want to leave. How do you want to make people feel? I think Maya Angelou has that quote, people don't always remember what you did, but they always remember how you made them feel. And
That's
I
right.
love that you used that analogy with the restaurant, the smile on the face. How many times do we go out to restaurants or even fast food? And I have a story. I just went to Popeyes, on Sunday, and um, I just got the little $6 big box meal, and the lady at the door kind of just like threw the food in there and kind of handed me the bag, kind of like slammed the window and was just like, there you go. And then, I got home, didn't have any sauce for the little chicken tenders and the honey. There was one packet of honey that was kind of like spilling out and made the whole bag sticky. And it's just little things like that. Obviously I didn't let it affect me personally, but it's just little stuff like that. She's probably like, I'm just ready to go home. I'm just a cashier at Popeyes. But again, we all have that Chick-fil-A or just different fast food places of that great customer service. Culver's is another one, great customer service, smile on the face, how you doing today? How may I help you? It's just mannerisms and again, seeing the smile on people's face. And I want the audience to look in the mirror and just think real quick, imagine you're on a date, you're on a wonderful date. Maybe it's your anniversary or maybe it's, your first date with a guy or gal you really like and you picked out this wonderful restaurant you've always wanted to try. You've heard great reviews. Imagine if you get to the restaurant, everybody's just angry, mad, belligerent, slamming things on tables and everybody that's eating around you is just pissed off and they got, the worst, you know, mean mugging you. The waitresses are mean mugging you. The bartenders mean mugging you. How enjoyable is that meal going to be? How likely are you to tip and come back and want to spend time there and enjoy the special moment with the loved one? Or some people love their parents, think about taking your mom or dad, regardless of age to their favorite restaurant and you get there and they're just mean mugging you, you're not going to enjoy that experience. It's just simple things like that. And start to think about grocery shopping too. I know that's another one. How many times do we go to the store and the cashier's just, throwing things, trying to ring you up and get you out of there? And then I always look at both sides of everything. Look at the times where, you had a conversation with the cashier and you guys started laughing or the Kroger, by my house, there's a older lady there that, every time I come, if it's after work, every time I see her, we're always laughing and asking how her day was. And she'll crack a little joke. And if there's music playing, she'll start dancing and singing and just always say, see you next time. Have a great day. It's just little stuff like that. And that's what Martha's talking about throughout the episode is getting back to a society of people that are safe people, that are well liked and again, not people pleasing. I didn't say I gave her, extra money for bagging my groceries. I didn't say, you get a $200 tip for waiting on me. Just, it's not doing, being at somebody's beck and call. It's just, choosing to do what's right and be helpful. I just encourage everyone as they're listening, if you haven't heard anything that you can take away so far, I want to challenge everyone that listens to this episode that's listening right now to take tomorrow and do one good deed. If you work with people, go to work with a smile on your face. Ask somebody how their day is doing. Next time you go to the grocery store, if you see a cart in the street, put it back in the folly. I encourage everyone just to do one good deed and do it with a smile on your face starting tomorrow as soon as you finish listening to this episode and wake up the next morning. And, and then I always say, pass it on. If you smile, then somebody else is going to smile. Very rarely, just with human nature, if you go somewhere and you see everybody smiling, you're not going to be the one person frowning. You look weird.
Mm-hmm.
And then vice versa. If everybody's smiling or if everybody's frowning, be the one person that smiles. They're going to be like, why is he smiling? And, you want to be the light to others' darkness.
That's right.
And so,
Be the light and make it an experiment. If this is something you're not used to doing, make an experiment. Okay, I'm going to smile at everybody. I'm going to see how many people smile back. Just make it an experiment. Make it fun. I'm going to go out to that cart. I'm going to put my cart away. While I put my cart away, I'm going to watch and see how many other people put their carts away. Just, make it fun. Or I'm going to pick up 2 carts. That's one thing you can. I'm going to put away 2 carts that are out there. Put them in the cart corral or take them back into the store. Just like Darian has challenged all of us, do something nice for somebody tomorrow. And you know what? A lot of people just want somebody to smile at them. We have no idea what people are dealing with these days. When you consider all the sickness and the sadness and how many people. One day I was somewhere and a man said to me that he said his son was in prison, and I said, "Oh, I'm really sorry." And he said, "I'm not. It's the only place I know he's safe." This breaks my heart because the child was a heavy drug user. And he said, "I know at least in prison he can't get the drugs and he'll stay alive." That's what people are dealing with. We are so clueless. what people are dealing with in their lives. And if all it takes from us is a smile, just to give them a little bit of relief, that's the least we can do. And I know as parents, kids are, and I want to mention this, do not speak badly about your children in front of them. None of this. Thank God school's back and the kids are going back to school. I've had enough of the kids. Please don't do that. Let me tell you a story about Napoleon Hill. I tell you, I have all these stories. I'm so tender-hearted. I just want to cry all the time. But Napoleon Hill, he wrote Think and Grow Rich. When he was young, I think about 13 or so, his father was going to marry another woman, and he brought the woman home to meet his children. And when he got to Napoleon, he said, "This is Napoleon, but don't bother with him. He's no good, and he'll never amount to anything, and he doesn't do anything right." And the woman looked at Napoleon, and she said, "I doubt that very much. He looks like a fine young man to me, and I know that we're going to have a wonderful relationship." Napoleon Hill said that totally changed his life. Before that woman came into his life and said that, he was probably on track to go to jail. But when she came in and one person finally believed in him, it changed his life. That's just believing in somebody. Even if somebody's a drug addict, you can say, "You know what? I love you and I believe in you, but I'm locking all the doors around you and you can't live in this house until I know you're drug free because you can't open yourself. But I love you. And you know what? If you're sober, you are welcome to come at Christmas. But if you're drinking or drugging, you can't. We need to have those boundaries. But if you need somebody to talk to, I'd be happy to talk to you when you're sober and not drugged up. You have to have boundaries. But unfortunately, people who have drug and alcohol problems, they become isolated when they need people around them, care about them, just like our children.
Right, right. And then again, I love you said that because what she's saying is show people grace. All right. Show people grace and be compassionate and understanding when you're speaking to not just your children, but to others. Again, like we said earlier, everybody matters. Everybody's story matters. There's not one story, regardless of how morbid or how gruesome it may be that you went through. Again, like the story she said of the father with the son in prison, everybody has different ailments and different demons and different, darkness that everybody's trying to fight, internally, that hasn't come out to light. And I want to, let the audience in on this. It's, a lot of it's with mental health, there's suicide thoughts. And, we always see the one thing that always, saddened me. We always see like the mass shootings at the schools. And what's sad, and it leads us to this parental topic. We always hear the parents on the news say, but he was a good boy. And that just always, shocked me, always hearing those because, again, it goes back to the spoiledness. And again, just because if you give somebody unhappy a bunch of things, they'll just be an unhappy person with a bunch of things. But if you, again, like the Napoleon Hill story, if you encourage somebody to think of themselves in a better way, and then they eternally become happy. Now it won't matter if they have less or little or more, they'll always be happy by the way you made them feel and by how they feel about themselves. And so I just encourage you as you're listening, especially for parents out there. I know we have social media, you have your iPhones, your video games, your purses, shoes, clothes, Jordans, etc. All those materialistic things. Maybe your kid's a teenager and you just buy them a first car. All that stuff is, lavish and decent, but you don't want it to define your parental fortitude. You don't want to have stock in, hey, for the 18 years of my child's life, I bought them a bunch of stuff.
Right.
They can't speak to me and have a conversation with their own mother or daughter or father, but they have the brand new iPhone, or they're getting bullied at school. This is another one, a good one. They're getting bullied at school every single day. They're crying their eyes out at night and they're scared to tell their parents, but they have the brand new Jordans on and the brand new iPhone that just came out. And so I want to challenge each parent that is listening to this episode as well. Tomorrow, when you wake up in the morning, sit your child down or children down one by one at a time or separately, and just have an honest 5 to 10 minute conversation with them and just ask them, how you're doing, and just tell them that you believe in them. And, you know,
Yeah. Yes. Yes. And I guess we haven't what we haven't mentioned is I did write a book, Yes You Can Raise Happy, Responsible Children. It's available at Amazon. And I do have a Facebook group for parents, Mastering Child Behavior, Elite Solutions for Parenting Success, and that's free to come on into my Facebook group. And I have a 14-page document there that you can get that tells you your parenting style. You can take the 10-question quiz, score it, and then it also tells you how your parenting style affects your children. And also, I have some videos up there. I'm analyzing some children's behavior that's pretty bad and kind of shows you what the parents are doing wrong. But you know what? We need to not be judgmental of parents. Parents are doing. I did the best I could with my son. He was spoiled rotten at 4. My husband and I were clueless, but we learned. We learned. We changed, and things got better. So you have to start analyzing what's going on in your life. How are your children behaving? What can you do better? What can they do better? And what is your responsibility to the world, really? We have a responsibility basically to society, to all society, to be good examples of good people. And another example there is, you know, there are there are always some kids. If you're a lonely kid, if you're a lonely kid at school, here's how you become not a lonely kid. You look for the other lonely kid and you befriend them. You be the person that you wish would come to you. You be the friend. So if you are lonely and you see someone at the lunchroom and they're sitting by themselves, you go up to them and say, "May I sit with you?" And you be the friend. You be the one because you need to. That's called leadership. And if we don't have leadership, society collapses. And very few people want to lead. According to that Stanley Milgram experiment, if you remember that one, Darian, that is the one where they did the electroshock. They thought they were shocking the people. And the man in the white coat who portrayed the authority kept telling them, and the person who was supposedly being shocked was on the other side of the room. They couldn't see them, but they could hear them. And they were turning up the electricity. The guy was doing some kind of test or something, and every time he got something wrong, they had to turn up the electricity. And he would be on the other side screaming and crying, "I'm going to have a heart attack. I don't want to do this anymore. Stop it, stop it." And the person would look at the authority, and the authority would say, "No, raise raise the electrical rate." They would do it. 7 out of 10 people raised the electricity so high it would have killed the person had it been true. Would have killed them. All because an authority told them to. So we're talking 3 out of 10, maybe 30% of the population has leadership qualities and uses them. You need to be the leader. So if you're lonely at school, you need to be the one who helps others. That's how you become the leader. And you start looking, stop looking for what you can get and the friends you can get, and look for the people you want in your life who have the skills and abilities that you would like to have for yourself. Birds of a feather flock together for a reason. You hang with drug addicts, you're going to be a drug addict, honey. You hang with people who have their own businesses and want to excel in life and treat people with decency, you're going to be a person who treats others with decency and has their own business. Are you with me here, Darian? Does that make sense?
yes, and it reminds me of a quote. They said that you're the average of the 5 people you hang around the most.
And too many times we go after, well, I like him because he likes me. Well, what are his qualities? Well, he drinks too much. In fact, I had a woman at the jail the other day, uh, 62, and the man she lives with, he drinks every day, and she wants to stop. And I said, well, does he have any good qualities? He goes to work every day. Well, that's good. What else? Well, he always puts me down. Uh-huh. And whenever I try to quit drinking, he tries to make me start drinking again. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Is that someone who you think has good qualities that you would be proud to have your children be around? That's what we have to start thinking instead of what we can get, because all the time in our lives, we're always, what can I get? A child comes home from school, third grade, says, Mom, guess what? They're having a play at school. They're having a play. And I'm going to try out for the lead. Oh, and then mother, oh, honey, oh, I'm so happy they're having a play, but the lead, oh, don't try for the lead. You might not get it. Why don't you try out to be one of the trees or one of the frogs? You have a better chance of getting that. But right there, what's a child learn? Go for what I can get, not for what I really.
And again, there's been so many great examples. And again, I continue to encourage, again, all the viewers in the audience, apply this stuff daily. Again, those are the challenges. Again, if you're a parent, challenge you to talk to your children. And again, encourage everyone, regardless if you have kids or not, uh, put a smile on your face and do a good deed tomorrow. And so with that being said, what are some tips that you would give parents and any last minute motivation? And then also, again, tell the audience where they could find you.
Tell your children every day you love them. Make sure when you tuck them in at night, say, I'm so glad you're my child. I love you. And if the child says, well, Mom, I did this bad and that bad, say, you know what? We're all human. And I love you no matter what you do. Because that's what parents are for. Parents are here to love our children and help them do better. And tell your children, if you want to do better, I'll help you do better. So, and also, if you say no, mean it. Don't give in and then say yes, because that really causes you more problems. All right, those are my tips.
Awesome. And again, can you tell the audience where they can find your social media as well as your book?
The social media, I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn, Martha Burich, and also my Facebook group, Mastering Child Behavior, Elite Solutions for Parenting Success, and it's free. Just join. And also, I have a website, marthaburich.com. So that covers it all pretty much. The website, marthaburich.com, Facebook, Martha Burich, and the parenting group, Mastering Child Behavior, Elite Solutions for Parenting Success, and LinkedIn.
Awesome, awesome. And again, it's been a wonderful episode 18 of the Darklaw Dominion Mental Health Series. Again, care for your children, be there for your children, be there for yourself as well, and be there for your neighbors. Again, like I said, challenge yourself to do a kind deed tomorrow. And if you're a parent, talk to your children and make sure they're doing okay. And like Martha said, don't be afraid of going for what you want and not what you think you deserve. And so this has been Dominion and Martha Burich out of the wonderful state of Michigan. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your evening. And until next time on Decree of Dominion, thank you.
Thank you for joining me on this journey into the depths of Darklaw Dominion. Remember, it's in the darkest parts of ourselves that we often find the greatest strength. Facing that darkness is not a sign of weakness, it's the path to healing, growth, and reclaiming control of your life. If this series resonates with you, or if you're looking for more empowering stories on healing and reclaiming your power, make sure to follow Decree of Dominion on Facebook, Spotify, and YouTube. There, we continue the conversation on mental health, domestic violence, and relationships, offering hope and support. Until next time, keep exploring the shadows, keep seeking your truth, and keep fighting for your light.